Old favorite or a new favorite, Ted Owens. Ted, it's great to have you back on the show.
That's good to be here.
Now, I just want to give our audience the caveat, this is not the return of the single show. Ted's here because he's directing the Truckee Follies. The Follies are back, and you're here so that we can grill you about all the details about what it takes to put the Follies together.
It'll have to be a good grilling. No, it's been a lot of work, it's been a lot of fun, but I think it's going to be a great show. Look forward to it.
You've been working on this for quite some time.
About 2 or 3 months. And I should point out, Cliff Hartwell is doing all of the production. He's the producer. That's a completely different line of work. So Cliff and I have been working on it probably for 2.5 months at this point already.
Well, let's back up a little bit, and for the benefit of people who don't know what the Truckee Follies is, give us some background.
Well, the Truckee Follies was originally developed by the Downtown Merchants Association as a way of raising some funds for downtown improvements and maintenance of the sidewalks and plants and things of that nature. At least that's what the notion was in the very beginning. And it was about 1980, I think, was when the first Follies ran. They ran every year for a while, then that became too tedious. I can't imagine why. And then it spread out to whenever the spirit moved the Downtown Merchants. And so it's been, I've always referred to as kind of an R-rated burlesque venue on Truckee. And who's who, and poking fun at everybody, and poking fun at ourselves, really. And that's kind of the history of it. It's evolved through the years.
Now, one of the things that people look forward to or fear is the program that's associated with the Follies. I think you talk about R-rated. This thing gets close to being X-rated.
The program I haven't even seen, actually. Very often you put yourself at the mercy of the individuals that are putting the program together, unless you have a good concept of your own. But if you've never been to the Follies, the program is almost worth the price of admission in and of itself. It's a valuable piece. But it definitely is something that you wouldn't want, to fall in the hands of children.
That's right.
By any stretch of
or
the
impressionable adults, for that matter.
Absolutely. But you know what I like about it? It's the one opportunity that, whether you're an attorney or whatever it is you do, gas station owner or whatever, you can poke direct fun that might be insulting in any other circumstance at yourself, and it's perfectly acceptable in the Follies.
Well, one of the things that makes the Follies so much fun is that it's not politically correct, by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, absolutely not. And I have some fear, actually, with that particular topic, because there are no holds barred. You exercise some judgment in some areas. Might be a little too sensitive to go, but for the most part, everything's open game.
Maybe let some current events age a little before they come up in the Follies.
Absolutely. There are certain areas to stay off of, like, town council, for example.
Oh, I'm sure there won't be any dialogue about that.
Nature, so.
Well, we'll be mentioning this a couple of times throughout the show, but the Truckee Follies return May 8th through the 11th.
That's correct.
And the venue is?
Well, the doors open at 6:30 for cocktails and food, and the curtain time is 7:30, and that's for 4 nights, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of May, and it should end. It should run about 2.5 hours. So,
depending on how things go.
So.
Well, for people that haven't been to the Follies, it really is a great evening. It's a fun evening. People show up ready to party, and it's just a great community-based event.
It really is. If you are familiar with it in any way, shape, or form, it's one of those things that I think makes Truckee truly unique. You couldn't get away with this in Walnut Creek or Marin County or the Bay Area. It's everything's too sensitive.
Certainly
down
not Berkeley.
there. Certainly not Berkeley. But you can get away with it in Truckee. It's one of those things that makes this little burg very unique insofar as we can laugh at ourselves, laugh at what happens. In some of the acts, we have prominent folks from the community that are on opposite sides of the spectrum that are working it out together and sitting side by side in rehearsals, and that's really kind of a unique and fun thing to see. You wouldn't expect to see that in other areas. So
well, I think the gasp of shock and surprise from the audience when the opening of the Truckee Follies 2 years ago featured a photograph of Tom Watson and Stephanie Olivieri lip-locked in a passionate embrace was
well, we won't see that, but we will see Tom Watson sitting next to somebody else equally as surprising.
Controversial.
As controversial, yes. So.
All right, well, let's talk about this year's theme, and to do that, we'll ask our directors to put up a copy of the poster that is this year's theme, because this is really funny. Now, this says, Truckee's a Trip, and features Well, Ted, help describe
Well,
this.
I
before we
cannot
move this.
disclose who the individual is that worked with us on this, but the concept of the Follies, you know, you try to take a look at what's going on in the community, what's new, what's changed since the last Follies, and we have had a lot of growth in the area. We've had a lot of discussion about golf course development, construction, and what have you.
So this gentleman has a contractor's belt.
He has a contractor's belt, he has a golf bag, he has a big dog, a shirt that's too small, and he's heading toward his Learjet, none of which makes sense, but that's kind of the point. You get an idea where we're going.
Makes total sense for Truckee, and that's great.
Yeah, it sheds some, I was going to say light, but it's, you know, we had some fun actually getting this.
And this is an autograph poster, and it's signed, "You Crack Me Up."
Well, yes, he did sign it that way.
So that gives you the flavor of the humor you're going to be seeing in the
He cracks a
Truckee
nice
Follies.
smile. He's a good sport, but I'm not going to brandish his name
So
across television.
this is the theme, Truckee's a Trip.
Well, really what we tried to do is, there's a lot of things that you very well know have changed since the last Follies. We have our own police department. Again, we get back to the golf, the growth, and the developments that are coming down the pike. We have increased air traffic that we didn't used to have, and we always had the prop-driven aircraft, but now we have Learjets and things of that nature.
Right.
So what we tried to do is, what could we put together that's going to encompass all of these changes that have occurred? So we kind of moved through a theme of growth, golf, development, the police, and at the same time we're bringing back some favorites with a new twist through the past 3, 4, 5 Follies. You know, acts that with a modern twist to it, or put them in a different situation, modified. So it should be a lot of fun. I think in a few moments, we'll show a tape from the last Follies, just to give the folks at home kind of a flavor of what the Follies kind of feels like.
That's right.
And in fact, that's with Vince Devaney, and he's actually going to be in this one reprising his rendition of Julia Childs from, I think, about 8 or 9 years ago, which Vince as Julia is quite an experience in and of itself.
Vince Devaney doing just about anything is quite an experience in and of itself.
Well, that's the clip that I brought. In the last Follies, Vince Devaney, you know, coming from the field of education, did a bit, and I thought it might be kind of humorous to...
Well, why don't you give us a little more intro, and then we'll run that clip. Vince Devaney used to be the superintendent of schools here.
Right. He used to be the superintendent of schools, and he no longer lives in the area, but he came back to Truckee specifically to do this particular act. And we'll cue it up. Basically what he's doing is kind of putting new meanings to existing words, and in kind of a humorous
This
fashion.
is a great clip, so stay with us and we'll see Vince Devaney in action in the Truckee Follies 2 years ago.
Good evening. The 1995 Follies of Cottonwood, I unveiled a radical new program that I had hoped to be adopted by your school district. As we all know, the art of communication using good verbal skills is essential to a quality education. This is particularly challenging of our English language. Therefore, I propose when communicating that henceforth words would mean as they sound, or that they would have an alternate meaning. Unfortunately, your school district has yet to adopt this program. However, they are reconsidering, I understand, so tonight I'm going to move forward with further examples. First, let me digress to the Cottonwood Follies. For those of you that weren't in attendance, I'll give you some examples, and those of you who were in attendance and do shit-face to remember what I said, here they are. The word is a crew, a crew. Of course, it's what a captain needs to run his ship. The next word, gruesome, gruesome. As in saying when I meet you, since the last time I saw you, I think you gruesome. Ammo, a declarative statement. As ammo kick you fat ass. In the street, when the merchant's parking lot is full. Now, with this in mind, with all the ethnic diversity that we now have in our country, it's important included in the English language. So, when you see words like bigotry, an Italian, a redwood, acoustic. In South Miami, to shoot a game of billiards, you need acoustic. And then there's cataract. Cataract. All our very wealthy Oriental friends drive Rincon Continentals for cataract. Background for further examples of words that have alternate meanings. Dilate. Refers to a person who lives a long life. Dilate. Morbid. Should you go to an auction and want to buy something, you might need morbid. Terminal illness. To become ill in an airport. Abdicate. You give up all hope of a flat tummy. Balderdash. A rapidly receding hairline. Circumvent. That slit down a men's shorts. Coffee refers to the person that's being coughed on. Not to be confused with the cofer who's going to coughing. Flatulence. The vehicle that picks you up when you've been run over by a steamroller. Gargoyle. That mouthwash made of olive oil. Negligent. For the ladies that go absent-mindedly to the front door and open it, they're negligent. Lift. Walk with a lift. And then finally, willy-nilly, referring to that state that a male suffers, and it's called impotence.
Vince Devaney is brilliant, Ted.
Vince is so dry.
Yeah.
And knows everything that he's doing, every step of the way. That's what makes him so hilarious. And, you know, hopefully you can get a feel for how Vince is. He's going to be Julia Child in this next Follies. He's actually coming back to reprise that role, so and that's equally as funny.
You can
and in
see
fact, his son is in the show as well.
Well, Vince Devaney Jr. is as funny as his father. He's got great comedic timing.
And he's with the Railroad Regulators, and they have an act in the program as well.
Of course they do. They're omnipresent.
I know, and Josh is in it amazingly.
What a surprise!
But, yeah. So
now there's a concern for the audience, Ted. Are there any Brown Act violations we need to be concerned about in the
those
Follies?
those will be addressed as well in the show. I have that figured into the act, so that we'll have no problem with that. We will be violating those, yes.
Well, Ted, you've been busy. I know you've been busy because I haven't been able to meet you downtown for just a quick drink anytime. Yeah. You're just swamped.
That's unusual
with this.
for me.
It's very unusual for you.
Well, quick drink.
You're right. Oh, that's true. But let's talk about how you build the Follies. What does it take to put this together?
Well, a lot of work, and let's talk a little bit about what Cliff Hartwell's doing. On the production side, he's got to take care of all of the arrangements for the facility where the program's going to be held, getting together all of the equipment that's necessary, organizing the setup, the printing, the programs. That's a huge amount of work. The tickets, all of the business end of putting on the Follies has been handled by Cliff. My end of the Follies has been basically coming up with a concept and writing. Now, I didn't write the whole Follies. I should be very fair here. I came up and blocked out a show. Having been in a couple of Follies, I wanted to tighten it up a little bit and have a lot more quick acts so that there's no downtime between set changes and what have you. So I blocked out basically 26, 27 acts. Then we began to do kind of a loose casting of all of the actors in the roles that they would play and the acts that they would be in. And we got little groups of writing teams
When you
together.
say casting, it's more like drafting, isn't it?
Well, it's not even, yeah, it's really on-demand kind of thing.
Right, congratulations, you're in the Follies.
You haven't really got much of a choice if you're asked. And then we started to meet in groups and work through the concept that I'd created. This is what I want to have happen. How that's going to happen is going to be largely up to all of us here. The reason that's important is because then you have buy-in from all of the participants. You know, they're there during the birth of some of the funniest lines that there are. They own it, they know it. It's a lot easier to learn it and then perform it later. We aren't dealing with professional actors, really. And so I felt that that would be an important element. But we've had Kathleen Egan and Jim Duffy and Helen Graham and
Joe Burns,
and
former politicians and current politicians. And
Bob Drake has been very helpful in
no.
doing quite a bit of writing in the hopes that maybe the town would eventually pay Larry at court. But
I don't think that's going to happen.
That won't happen. No, but he's been very, very helpful, and it's good to see him jumping in and helping as well. And you know, I know I'm leaving people out, but you'll see them all in the Follies and just understand that everybody that's in an act had a say in how that act went together.
Yeah, we should mention too that tickets are still available at Cabona's. Cabona's, of course, downtown Truckee, and this is for the Truckee Follies, May 8th through 11th. That's coming up quicker than you'd like to know, folks.
Quicker than I'd like.
That's right. Food and drink, of course, are an integral part of the Follies, and so don't come with your stomach full. Come prepared to eat and great time.
But do eat if you're going to drink, because we've had experiences in the past. But no, it's a great time. You would be hard-pressed to find anyone that's ever been to the Truckee Follies that did not have an outstanding time.
A super time.
It's just a lot of fun.
Well, I think that's one thing that people don't necessarily appreciate. When you see a homegrown theatrical production, you think, well, it's going to be hokey and maybe it's for a good cause, so I'll go. But this is genuinely, like our high school plays, this is something you want to go to. It's
something that, you know, the interesting thing about the Follies is that people that see them for the first time very often will ask, how can I get involved in the next one? Let me in, because you just leave having that feeling that you wish you had participated in it. I think that, you know, going back to something I said earlier, it's really unique when you see people that are players in a community from all walks of life that are willing to get up on stage and make fun of themselves. You don't find that in the bigger venues in the cities. It's just they have too much at risk, or so they feel. So that makes it a lot of fun too.
No holds barred, taking off the gloves?
Well, no holds barred, taking off the gloves. Well, let's just say we're using heavy gloves, though.
Right.
We're not going to go real tight on it, but it's worthy of a few laughs.
Anybody here that you want to mention? I know you said Cliff, and of course he and his wife Joan have done a lot of work on this. Any particular people? I know you've got a whole army of folks that...
Well, we have people that we're going to have to thank before it's over. You know, Mitch Claren, for example, was told that he was going to be backstage manager. That's a big job and a big endeavor. And then, of course, for the last two Follies, I believe we've had Lisa Doby and Debbie
Cole,
right?
That's right.
Helping with all of the backstage stuff, which is a huge job. And then we have Truckee Talks Jack Davis working with the light and sound and what have you. So we have a lot of people that are behind the scenes people that really help pull this off. And it's not an easy task.
Pulling it all together.
Absolutely.
So, Director, what are you worried about? And what do you feel good about? The show's almost upon you.
Well, that's a loaded question, not even fair to ask. I'm worried about everything. There are a lot of last-minute changes. You know, I got a call tonight by someone that can't be in the show. Well, they're going to be in the program, but you know, so you have some last-minute adjustments that have to be made. I'm worried about my own acts, which the writer has not yet written. So
that would be you.
I need pressure, so we'll see. So. The interesting thing about the Follies that I learned the very first time, because I did do some theater in college and high school, I expected rehearsals and everything to be done the way that theater is done, but the Follies aren't done that way. you have a tech up, and I thought, my God, this show's not going to happen. How can this possibly happen? But it magically comes together because everyone realizes that it's their neck on the line. You know who else has really been helpful? Steve Cornelio.
Oh, he's wonderful. Our town bard.
Our town bard has one of the prime parts, which I'd love to tell you all about it right now.
Don't give it
but
away.
I'm not going to. He has one of the best parts in the act. He also did a phenomenal job of writing for the musical parts that I wanted to create.
That's not surprising.
Not a musical bone in my body, but I told him what concept I wanted, and what he came up with is hilarious. He wrote a song that Shireen Drake will be performing. That's hilarious. He's written one for the police department that's very hilarious, and of course the Downtown Merchants Act. So he's been extremely instrumental in all of the musical aspects and singing aspects of the program. Then of course we have the dancing girls back too. So
they do a great job. They've always done a really tremendous job. Elizabeth Archer with the choreography on that.
She's doing all the choreography and working. She can't be in the show this time, unfortunately, but she's volunteered her time to help the girls that are going to be in the show. Then we also have the, well, it's...
Oh, come on, Ted. Drop that shoe.
Cliff and the boys, and a little dance number too. So.
Oh, the Men in Tights are coming back.
Well, the Men in Tights are coming back actually in another number in a new venue, so that's worth quite a few laughs in and of itself. You won't be seeing me in tights, that's a good thing, but you will be
Ted,
seeing a lot of prominent people that you wouldn't expect to be wearing tights in public.
And I was just going to ask you that, because of course you are a political figure in this town. You're the vice mayor, the mayor pro tem, and you'll be conducting a campaign of your own this year. Do you think the Follies is going to be detrimental to that?
Yeah, all indications are that I'm going to probably lose 12 points. And so I don't know if it's going to help or hinder, but it depends on who's angry.
Right, exactly.
But I took great care in the writing in that regard, so we'll see.
Well, again, Truckee Follies, May 8th through the 11th. Tickets available at Cabona's downtown. Ted, I wish you all the luck in the world. It's going to be great fun.
You too, I understand.
I got drafted,
be in the show as well. So.
I said no 4 times, but it just didn't seem to stick.
No, thank you very much, and
Good
thanks
luck.
and to all of you at home. Go down to Cabona's. We have tickets available for Wednesday night and for Friday night shows. Thursday and Saturday are sold out right now.
All right. So come on downtown, see the Truckee Follies, have a great time with us as we poke fun at ourselves.
That's right.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a minute with upcoming events, so stay tuned. Well, welcome back to Truckee Talks. We want to thank Ted Owens for being here and wish him and the whole cast and crew good luck in the Truckee Follies. And now we just want to give you some upcoming events in and around our region, and that's starting for the week of Wednesday, April 23rd. The Sierra High Technology will be Thursday, April 25th at the North Tahoe Conference Center from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. This will be held in Kings Beach, and to RSVP, call 587-7685. On that same night, the 25th, Arts for the Schools presents the Ryrie Woodbury Dance Company on stage at the Cal Neva Lodge at 7:30 p.m. This 38-year-old dance company was featured in the 2002 Olympics. Tickets are $15 for adults, $5 for students, and $20 for preferred seating. For more information, call Arts for the Schools at 546-4602. April 27th and 28th is the 5th Spring Jam at Squaw Valley, USA. This is the big air skier cross and border cross, and you can't have a skier cross and border cross without live music. Call 583-6985 for more information. May 4th is the Snowmobile Cross at Donner Ski Ranch. Don't know what that is? Call Norm and find out. 426-3635, but it sounds like fun. Also on the 4th, Tom Burt's Pig Air Snowboard Festival at Alpine Meadows. The number for Alpine is 583-4232 for more information on the Tom Burt Pig Air Festival. And of course, the Truckee Follies are coming back to Truckee. This every other year approximately event will be May 8th through 11th, and tickets are still available for purchase at Cabona's. Again, May 8th through 11th. Don't miss this opportunity to join in the fun of poking fun at our town and ourselves. We'll see you down there at the Community Rec Center May 8th through May 11th. That's it for this week. Thanks again to my crew and for Ted Owens for joining us here on Truckee Talks. We'll see you next week.